everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's lovely to have you here with me today. Today we are looking at making the last section of the seasonal sampler mini quilt. I'm really excited about this part and I hope you are too. Today we're going to look at making the snowy mountains, the woodland trees, and then my favourite bit, which is the cosy cottage. But first, I'd just like to say a sincere thank you to everyone who has supported me on my channel. I'm so grateful for your lovely comments and interactions, and I'm totally blown away by everything you've said and by the number of you joining in with this project. It's just so lovely. Thank you all so much. To begin with, you'll need to look in the description bar underneath this video, and there is a link to the free PDF downloadable page which has all of the templates for these items. So print it off, cut out the templates, and then use them to cut out your hexiform shapes. So like in previous videos, I'm using the hexiform sheet, and you'll just need to make sure that you cut out the individual shapes, so the bottoms of the mountains, the tops of the mountains, each part of the star, and then you've got this rectangle part of the house, this triangle, the windows, the door, and then these two parts here of the house. You need to cut all of them out of hexiform. Then, using the same technique that we used to make the items in the autumn block, you'll need to cut your fabric out with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, use the fabric glue pen to wrap it around the hexiform, and then you'll have your motifs ready for stitching together. So I'll briefly show you that technique again. So here I've got the base of the mountain, of one of the mountains, and I've also got the snowy peak as well. So just to go over this technique again, take a scrap of fabric, and I just always dab a bit of glue onto my hexiform piece just to keep it in shape, in place rather, and put it there, find where I want it to go, and then I'm going to just cut around the edge, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I've done that for both shapes. It's just a rough 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you just need to run some glue along the edge and fold the sides in to wrap the shape. There we go. Last side, wrap it in. Now with this shape and with the triangle as well, you will get these dog ears, but what I do is just pop a bit of glue on and fold it back so it's out of the way, and when you applique it on, you can make sure that that tucks under. So you can see that it's the same with this triangle. So again, dab a glue on the back and just fold it back on itself, and then it's tucked away. So just repeat for the other corners, and then you're ready to stitch your two mountain pieces together, just like we've done for the acorns, right sides together, lining up those two seams, those two edges, whip stitch together, and when you open it out, you'll have your mountain. You need to make 3 of those. Next, position them onto your block. You can do it however you'd like, but if you want to use my photo for reference, I put one slightly higher up, and then these two overlapped it here, just to give the illusion of a bit of a cluster of mountains and a bit of depth to it. After you've done your mountains, the next thing, doing the exact same technique, wrap your shapes, your hexiform shapes, with fabric and stitch them together to make this star. I think it's a really nice shape because you've got these kites and you've got 2 diamonds as well. So it's quite unusual. It makes a nice big star in the sky. The embroidery section of this part is really simple. Use your water erasable marker just to draw 3 or 4 trees. I've done 4. Just draw the straight line, and then I back stitched the trunk of the tree, and then I just did long straight stitches coming off each side to give the illusion of the branches. Next, let's look at the house. So here are all the pieces that you need to make the house. You've got the downstairs, the upstairs, the roof part, 2 square windows, a door and a circular window. So I've cut all of these out of hexiform. The trickiest bit is these 2 roof parts here. It can be quite difficult to get them thin enough and also to get them so that they are the same, so that they match up. So just really take your time with those pieces, and if you don't quite get them right the first time, don't worry, just try again. And the top tip is use the straight edge of your hexiform sheet to help you get straight edges for that bit. That's how I cut them out. So now, in exactly the same way as before, it's time to wrap them all in fabric. So here are all the pieces covered with fabric. Some of them are small and quite fiddly, so you may feel like it's a bit bulky on the back, but don't worry, it will be fine when you applique them down later. For these bits, which are the trickiest bits I think of the whole thing, I've used Liberty Tana Lawn because it's so thin and it just makes wrapping around something so narrow much easier. But it is possible to do it with the quilting cotton, but if you do have anything that's thinner than quilting cotton, that might make this bit a little bit easier. So now it's time to stitch them together. So I'm going to start with these 2 pieces, right sides together, and whip stitch along here. So I'm using my favourite thread, which is a polyester thread. It's made by Wonderfill and it's called Invisifil. It's really fine, it's 100 weight, and it really doesn't show up your stitches at all, so I really like using it for tiny projects like this. But as I always say, never let it hold you back. If you don't have a particular tool or type of thread, just use what you've got. I'm not sponsored by any thread companies or anything like that. I just like to share what I think works really well, and I am planning on doing a video soon all about needles and threads because I've tested out a lot, and I think it is definitely down to personal preference, but also some needles are better for certain jobs, some threads are better for other projects, so I tend to sort of mix and match. So when you've finished, it will look like that. Next I'm going to join these 2 pieces together. You could do it where you just do one piece then the other, but I really want to make sure that this seam where they join together here lines up exactly with the point of the house. So I'm going to just join them together just like so, right sides together. Very tiny and fiddly this bit, you can see. So again, just a whip stitch, secure it in the corner. and then just sew right down that seam. I do think everything to do with this part of the roof is the fiddliest part of the entire piece, but I like the effect that it gives. I think it's worth it. I hope you do too. A few more stitches and then I'm at that point, so tie it off, throw it out of the way, take another one, and that's it. So making sure, like I said, that seam and the point of the roof are lining up. Turn it so it's right sides together, and then whip stitch all the way up to there and then back down the other side. So when you get to that top point, you just need to maneuver it so you then fold it over and line up these two sides and whip stitch all the way along there. And when you're finished, it will look like this. Might just need a little press to get it to sit flat. So next thing is to position the door, the windows, where you want them to go. And then I always use a bit of the sew line glue just to tack them in place, and then do an applique stitch to attach them all where they need to be. And then you're ready for the embroidery. So I'll just show you on this one that's already completed, just for time's sake. I did a back stitch for the window panes, a French knot for the door handle, and then stem stitch and lazy daisy and French knots for these vines. Back stitch, lazy daisy for the stem and the leaf here, and then just a few satin stitches here. They're all stitches that I've already covered in previous videos, so if you're not sure, do have a look back. I do recommend using a water erasable marker just to draw them on so you get everything exactly where you want it to be, and then dab it with water after you've stitched so that your lines disappear. It's much easier if you do that. I just did some straight stitches crossing over each other to make the stars, and the moon, drew it on with the water erasable marker, and then just did a satin stitch horizontally to fill in, well, started vertically and went round horizontally, following the shape, following the curve of the moon, just like that. I'm excited that I've started a new house today for this video. I'm thinking of turning it into a little needle book or something like that. So I do think it's quite a versatile block. So keep your eye on my Instagram, because I'll definitely be showing what that little house does become. So once you've completed that and you've appliqued it to your backing fabric and all your embroidery is done, then all that is left to do is some hand quilting, and you can choose to do that in any way that you wish, really. I kept it really simple. So I went around the edge of the hexagons here. I also went around the edge of the butterfly, and then I just chose some seam lines to go along. So I went all the way down this one, and then across here, down here, all the way down here, and right across here. And it's just a simple running stitch. And on the back, it looks like, it's hard to see because I've chosen pattern fabric on the back, but you can just see it on the back there. So it just holds it all together nicely. And then all you need to do is add your binding and it's complete. If you do get stuck on anything or need any help, please definitely get in touch. I'm so happy to help. Best way to contact me is through my website. There's a contact form, or a direct message on Instagram, or email me. My email address is on my website as well. I'm really happy to help. I'm so grateful to you all for supporting me. I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos. I'm going to take a break for a week, so I'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks with a Crafty Catch-up video where I'll be talking to the camera, showing things that I've been up to. So I'm just going to take a little break from the tutorials just for now, but I will return with those in the future. Definitely, I've got so many ideas. But yeah, like I said, I'll be back in 2 weeks with a Crafty Catch-up. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye.